Hello, friends, family, followers, and fans. Welcome back. I'm Debbra Sweet, and this is Trailblazing TV. Thank you so much for setting a little bit of your day to invest into your learning on how to trailblaze in your life and in your leadership. I really appreciate an opportunity to be with you here today. And I am super excited to share with you my special guest, who I've been cooing over since the moment I met her. So I'm really thrilled that I get to share her with you as we talk about your why. And so today I am pleased to introduce you to Dr. Alexis. So I've only known Dr. Alexis for a short time, but I will tell you that the moment I saw her, she was just this beam of light in the big conference that we were at. And there was just something about her that just, it connected me right to her. And that's part of why I've asked her to be with you and myself here today. Dr. Alexis, this was my first impression. She's beautiful, she's intellectual, she's very grounded, and she's really focused and laser clear on what it is she's doing. And that's why I've asked her to be here today. As we continue in our journey of discovering 100 whys, I really wanted Dr. Alexis to be here so that she can share a little bit of her story. As you're on your journey, part of my intention is to bring you into the world of people that I know who are truly just amazing people. They're grounded, they're on point, they're people that they get it done. They're people in my nation, right? The Trailblazing Nation. So with that, let me tell you a little bit more about Dr. Alexis. So Dr. Alexis is a naturopathic doctor. She owns Golden Leaf Health Center, and that is actually an integrative medical clinic that is located here in Vista, California. We're in the San Diego area. Dr. Alexis, she specializes in hormonal balances or imbalances. She actually helps get them into balance. She specializes in thyroid disease, menopause symptom management, ladies and men. If you know that woman, this is a great person to know. And she's very effective in digestive issues. Dr. Alexis, she uses natural treatments that include botanical medicine, nutritional therapy, and functional diagnostic testing that actually helps get to the root cause of your disease. And so, Dr. Alexis, thank you so much for being here with us. I'm really blessed to have some of your time to be here and share. So, are you ready?
I am, and thank you so much for having me. I'm very happy to be here.
Oh, I followed you around like a puppy dog the way we met, and I keep going up because you're just that kind of woman, right? So thanks for letting me love on you. Okay.
Yeah, definitely connected, so I appreciate it.
We definitely did. All right. So, Dr. Alexis, I'd love to, in your own words, give me a brief overview. What's your background? Because clearly you're in a very interesting space. In fact, I remember it wasn't too long ago that even here in San Diego, California is a pretty progressive state. And I remember 10, 15 years ago, naturopathic doctors wasn't even considered a legitimate practice. So give us a little bit of how, what do you do? Well, let's just start there. What's your version of what you do?
I help people with medical issues, and I help people find the root cause of their medical issues. And in our healthcare system today, which is in conventional medicine, as we say, it's very, very good for life-threatening situations. If you're in a car accident or if you break a bone and you need immediate attention, medical attention, go to a hospital, go to your MD. That's where you want to go. However, there are gaps in our medical system when it comes to prevention of disease and also chronic care. And so I really feel that, people in my industry really help to fill in those gaps to where we want to prevent disease instead of waiting till you get those extreme lab results or that diagnosis that, adds more problems. And then also in chronic care, if you're trying to reverse some things or, prevent it from prolonging, there are treatments and options for people. So that's where I think my role is and where I could, fill the most need.
So one of the things I want to clarify just for a moment, because some of our viewers may not be familiar with the specialty that you hold.
Right.
So for clarification, you are what's called an ND, like Nancy David, an ND and not an MD. So so for those of you that are here, and this is new for you, in our Western states, here in the United States, right? Another term that we might call our normal doctor is an allopathic doctor. And that is also known as a medical doctor. And Dr. Alexis is an ND. And that's where it's nutrition first. It's more of a holistic approach first, correct?
Correct. Yeah. And just to give a little bit more information. So I graduated from Bastyr University, and Bastyr main campus is located in Washington. They decided to open up their second campus here in San Diego, which is the only 4-year accredited naturopathic medical school in California. And there are a few in the country that are, accredited 4-year medical schools, whereas some people may get a certificate online and call themselves a naturopath or naturopathic doctors. So it's good to know that distinction. But we go through 4 years of medical school. We are medically trained to treat and diagnose diseases and do full workups and order labs for our patients.
Absolutely. And when you and I met, we actually talked about that, because for our viewers here that you may not have discovered this yet about me, but I had a really extensive health issue that kept showing up again and again. And it was so extensive that I journeyed deep into the natural health world to heal myself. And I was thrilled to find out that Dr. Alexis actually went to Bastyr, because I was down that path and was considering also becoming a naturopathic doctor and going to Bastyr. Only at the time, it was not here in San Diego, California, so that's not a legit practice. So that was really exciting news to not only meet her, but to hear that that school, which is very well known, it is like very highly credentialed, is expanding. So, all right. So let's dig into part of the focus of our talk here today. And this is my why. It's my 100 why. So Dr. Alexis, what motivated you? Why did you go into this field? Because you just have it. Like when we've spoken, obviously this is not our first conversation.
Right.
We've had many conversations, and you have this really interesting approach to how you serve your clients. So I'm not necessarily looking for that. I want to go a little deeper. What motivated your why? Like, did you always know that this is the type of work you wanted to do? If you did, kind of elaborate on that. And if you didn't, like, how did you get here?
Yeah. Wow. That's a loaded question there. I mean, it definitely hasn't been a straight path journey for myself. But
Okay.
in the beginning, I was an athlete growing up. And so I was involved in soccer and track and field. And so I was always using my body and wanting to optimize my performance in athletics. But I wasn't really educated in how to do that. So I was hitting extreme fatigue, and I would get sick all the time. But I was, an athlete. So I just pushed through it, especially during my undergrad years in college. Initially heading into my undergrad years, I wanted to go into the medical field, but I was so burnt out. I worked really hard in high school, and I was just so burnt out. So I learned psychology and anthropology and sociology, and I had a conversation with a friend of mine who was heading into becoming a doctor, and it just kind of clicked for me, as it made me realize I needed to stop and really assess who I was and what I wanted. And that's what brought me back. I was like, I need to get back to my roots here. During that process though, I loved talking to people about health, and they would ask me to help them work out and help them lose weight and help them eat better. So those were just kind of signs along the way that kind of fed into my knowing of going into medicine. And so I graduated from my undergrad and then did 2 years of pre-med. And it kind of set me back a little bit, because, a lot of people do their undergrad in biology, get all their sciences, but I needed that extra time to kind of develop who I was. And so in that 2-year period of me doing my prerequisites for med school, I attended a medical conference for students, and there was this one workshop. And before I get that, we attended workshops with surgeons and internal medicine doctors and pediatricians. And there was this one workshop that stood out to me on the list that not a lot of people went to, but it was held by a naturopathic doctor. And I believe she was from a school in Oregon. And she did a workshop on disease processes, but used this integrated biochemical pathway to explain that naturopathic doctors find the root cause of disease instead of just, going off symptoms and giving a prescription as a Band-Aid. And it just clicked for me. Something about that message fully resonated with who I was, because during this time I wasn't fully connected with going to a conventional medical school to become an MD, because something was missing. And that was not just instantly knew. I immediately that next week did research. A couple months later, find out the school was opening in San Diego, which I always wanted to go back to because I had to move up to San Francisco. So it was just, everything fell into place. But it was that one moment where I knew that that's where I needed to go.
So this is really interesting. So some of the questions that I was wanting to ask you, you kind of just mapped out. So I'm going to ask you some unexpected ones, okay?
Totally fine.
So, okay, great. So first of all, thank you so much for sharing, because that's kind of cool that one of the things that I appreciate is you saying you took time to get to know you.
Yeah.
So with that, was there anything in particular for you that you did that helped you to discover you? Because one of the things I talk about all the time is that 73 to 83% of people show up in life, right? I talk about work. We show up to work, but we're people first, right? And so, yes, we're showing up to work, but we're in a state of disconnect. We're doing something, but we're really not connected to it. And I'm on a mission to help people bridge that gap. I want to help them break the disconnect. I went through that journey too. And so what did you do to help discover you?
At that time, that question for me then is very different now.
That's why we're asking it now, right?
I know, right? Back then, I was a lot younger. I really just had this intuition inside of me of when I would pursue something, I would know that instinctually resonated with me. So I remember taking it after the conversation I had with my friend when I was still trying to figure out where to go. I took out a notepad and I wrote out my interests, and I wrote out what lit me up. And to be, honest, initially it wasn't becoming a doctor that led me to the medical field. I was really interested in forensic sciences. So I really used that interest to pursue the path, which, would have led me to medical school anyways. And it was in that journey that I discovered that I wanted to work with people and, become a doctor. So it was really just taking the time to write and think and kind of meditate on who I was and connecting with what drew me and what lit me up.
So great, because now my next question with that, when you talk about, in your words, what lit you up, I call it tells, T-E-L-L-S, right? So some people, I'm highly intuitive. I'm very self-aware. I became very aware that I was self-aware when I was 10. Which I think is unusual, right?
Right.
That whole subject caused a lot of problems for me growing up, but now I can, like you said, I can talk about it, right? So I know what my tells are. So when you talk about it lit you up, what are your tells? Because there are people that are going to watch this that could be those who are tuning in right now that they're not attuned or in tune yet. They don't know how to identify those markers that might be speaking to them. What were your tells?
You know what? Great question. So some advice I would give is have conversations with the people close to you, because they have some insights to you that you may not see, or they may remind you of a part of yourself that you've forgotten. And at that time, and still today, my parents are a huge part of that. And also just a few select friends that I trust and know that they have my best interest.
Thank you for clarifying. I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm glad you said that. Okay, good.
Yeah. And sometimes people can definitely halt or hinder your progress, but select few privileged people in your life to talk to and really get some insight. So that's a good way to start the process.
I think that's great. So you're getting feedback from people. I talk about who's in your inner circle, right? The people that if you had to be in a room and there was only a select amount of people that there was one way in, and if they came into your room that they could never leave, who would you want in that room, right?
Absolutely.
So, okay, great. Because there are definitely an abundance of people that would be happy to be a miserable comforter, and that's not what we're talking about. Okay.
Absolutely.
So your tells where you gained feedback. So this, to me, what I'm observing and I'm hearing is that you applied an analytical process to helping you really come to discover you. Yeah. And so even the process of writing down, right? Did you do like the A/B column?
I didn't even know what that was back then. No, I literally just free wrote.
Okay, good. Okay, it wouldn't surprise me if you said yes.
Yeah. No, I literally just free wrote. And I honestly, I dug into my interest. Actually, what I did was I went back to high school and I was like, what was I interested in, you know? So that's what got me on the path. I was fascinated with eating healthy. And even though I didn't always eat healthy at the time, like I was always learning about it.
Right.
So I took that in. I love to be athletic. So these are things I was just doing naturally that I was like, okay, these are things that I love. How could I move this forward and kind of piece together this picture of who I want to become and where I want to go? Answers are never always there. You just, I was kind of just went through what felt natural.
Awesome. So can you go back to when you were really young?
Okay.
And think back to the first time somebody asked you, Ashley, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Yeah.
What did you answer?
A veterinarian. That's what I loved. Yeah. I was in love with animals and still am.
So it still's in that natural healing doctoring space. I think that's awesome because some people, it's like out of left field. It's not even close.
Right.
So
yeah, that's what I would do. And then I also found myself, my earliest memory was laying out all of my stuffed animals and acting like I was a teacher in a class and I was teaching. And so I do a lot of education with my patients now, and I, have health talks where I teach people. So it's just kind of applied in a different way. But
it's always been there. That's so awesome. Yeah. Excellent. Okay, so we're in the home stretch here, and so we're going to round this out.
Yeah.
For those who you and I are sharing, right? What are 3 tips? If you were to give 3 of Dr. Ashley Alexis's tips on discovering your why, what would your 3 tips be for discovering the why of your journey?
Great question. I would say the first is have a dream and don't be afraid to dream. Don't be afraid to just think of the most outrageous, best life scenario for yourself. And then work backwards from that and see what steps that you could start doing every day, even no matter how small, to even start getting a glimpse of that becoming a reality. I think it all starts in our minds first. If we can't see it, we can't create it.
Okay.
That's a very big one that I stand by. The second one is protecting your dream and protecting your wishes and desires. And I touched on this before, but sharing it with an intimate, privileged group of people or one person that could help you expand on that dream and keep you grounded in your pursuit. Be very protective of who you tell, because people are people and they can often impose their limiting beliefs on yourself. And I would say hone in on what you do naturally and what naturally lights you up. If you're interested even in whether it's cooking or gardening or, talking to people, whatever it is that really brings you out and lights you up, I always say turn you on, honestly. Hone in on that and see how you can expand on that. And I'll add one thing, get out of your comfort zone. Mm-hmm. Even if you're in your element doing what you love, make sure there's always that little bit of pressure that's just going to push you to grow even more, because that's what's going to keep you moving forward and growing. And you never know where you could go with it. But if you're just content, there are so many curveballs in life, whether in your personal life or professional, that could throw you off. And if you're not constantly just getting better and growing and improving, you don't want to be, on the other end of that where you're not prepared for it. So That's what I would say.
I think that is awesome. And I'm sitting here quietly giggling and I'm like, yes, because I'm living even what you're talking about, right?
Yes.
So I've made it public. I'm not sharing anything I haven't shared recently, but you know, my little girl dream was to be a dancer. I moved that into music. I've always felt compelled that I'm supposed to be on stage and I'm going to do the stage thing. I'll have the business stuff. Life threw me some very significant curveballs and then I made my own, right? Back on track. And anyways, the beginning of this year, you know, I feel like I never gave up on my dream of music and speaking on stage and sharing. I'm definitely a words person. So I took a very long hiatus actually publicly performing music, but in my mind's eye, I've never given that up. And so this year, the beginning of this year, I just made the decision, this is the year it's time to go do. I felt very deep in my belly. And so talk about hold that dream. And you said do things to lead into it, right? So I'm adding something here that even if you're doing that little something every day, if it's not logical to others,
right?
It's not logical to others, but it's logical to you as part of how you are moving into your dream version of you, right?
Yes.
Do it. And so I made the decision that something inspired me. It just totally turned on, and I've been costuming. I've been making costumes for a band that I don't even have yet.
Yes.
You know, and I'm like, I went into this fervor. I'm sewing. I'm doing all these crafty things. And I even asked my husband, I'm like, is it really weird that I'm making a costume? I'm costuming all this stuff for a band I don't have? No.
Right.
Because actually what that is, and this is extra bonus stuff, right? It's preparation. You're being prepared. So some people talk about luck. Oh, you're so lucky. No, luck is about, this is my version of it, right? Luck is about being prepared for the opportunity when the opportunity arises and you see it and you can now go do, right?
Right, absolutely.
So, yeah. And boy, I'm pushing myself out of my comfort zone too. I'm doing something tomorrow, but I'm going to keep it private right now. What it is, it has to do with, I'm doing an audition in a type of music that is way out of my comfort zone. Whether I get the gig or not, it's fun, right? You never know who you're going to meet. So, all right.
Congratulations.
We'll see. We're going to have, I'm ready. I'm fun. It's going to be fun. So with that, all right, Dr. Ashley Alexis, thank you so much for being with us here today and sharing some of your wisdom and some of your heart and your journey. So in conclusion, as we wrap up here, as people want to connect up with you, what's the easiest way for them to find you?
Well, my website is goldenleafhealthcenter.com, and my email is dr.alexis@goldenleafhc.com.
Perfect. And so for everybody that's watching, I'm going to drop all of Dr. Alexis's information down below. So make sure that you reach out to her. She's amazing. And I just want to continue to inspire you. If you are on that journey, discovering who you are, or you're still sitting in that space where the who you've always wanted to be is not quite in alignment with the who you've always felt you should be, and you're ready to bring them together, reach out to me as well. I'll have my contact information below. I encourage you too, if this is your first time stopping by, remember to subscribe. And these videos I'm going to be sharing, I'm interviewing some amazing people that have information that I feel is very important to share with the world. So I'd love to see you come back again. And with this, remember, my friends, you are wanted, you are needed, you are valued, you are loved. Live in your power, live in your peace, and rock on. All right, thanks.
All right.
Bye, Dr. Alexis. Bye-bye.
Bye.